Frontier by Maggot Moshpit. Chapter 5. Feldo was trapped. He was on his way out of the engine room when he overheard Lef and Cyrus talking. He immediately smelled something fishy and darted back into the room. He looked about for a place to hide. The drive compartment was open, so he darted inside. Feldo jumped off the ladder and landed inside the drive compartment. Because of how the drive created a hyperspace bubble around the ship, the entire thing had to be encased in a special alloy, and the only way to make repairs was to crawl inside the drive compartment. This compartment was accessed through a hatch which was also made of this alloy. Small amounts of damage could be repaired this way. However, if the drive was damaged in any serious way, the entire thing had to be removed from its casing and fixed at space dock. Luckily, the drive was the most well-shielded part of the ship, protected from scans and shock by its casing. However, the deadly radiation created from the drive was not contained in the alloy casing. This radiation dispersed after traveling several meters, encompassing most of the engine room. Feldo sealed the alloy hatch behind him and put his ear against it. He could hear footsteps as security officers searched the room. He gulped, assuming they were there for him, and slid further into the compartment. He made it to where the drive itself rested. It sat connected to ports in the wall by a spiderweb of wires, pulsing with strange energy. The main part of the drive was a perfectly spherical orb suspended by the cables. The outer shell was made of heat-resistant carbon fiber, many layers of it. In the center was the main part of the drive. Only the most qualified people knew what it was and how it worked, but to the layman's understanding, it neutralized the mass of the ship to near zero relative to normal space, so that it could be propelled at incredibly high speeds, faster than light. Beneath the floor was a reservoir of plasma, used to ignite the fuel needed to power the drive. Plasma was the only substance hot enough to ignite the fuel. Faldo regarded the drive for a moment, then concentrated his attention on the hatch. He could hear the officers checking the ion engine's many compartments, throwing their contents onto the floor haphazardly. One of the officers addressed the other.
My scanner shows no one else in this room.
The other replied after checking his own scanner.
Same here. What about behind that hatch? What is that, anyway?
Who knows how these Atrians built their hyperdrives? We got nothing like it on our ships. Anyway, the scanner isn't picking up anything behind there. Could be a garbage can for all I know.
One of the officers opened the hatch. Faldo darted to one side, barely avoiding the gaze of the officer.
Nothing in there. Let's inform Cyrus the engine room is clear.
Faldo sat on the floor, prepared to wait until the men had searched the ship entirely. The colonists didn't know what to expect as the officers stormed into their living space and began methodically scanning and searching containers. Lef ran in shortly after and stood on a crate.
Everybody, stay calm and don't hide anything. We have nothing to conceal, and once they see that, we can go.
Lef wasn't sure if he was heard, but the colonists seemed to understand regardless. One of the officers tapped Lef on the shoulder. He jumped off the crate and confronted the man, expecting aggression. To his surprise, the man smiled at him.
You must be Lef. I'm Red.
They shook hands.
Look, I sympathize with you. My sister is married to an Atrian, and I think you guys are pretty cool. But the Solar Federation doesn't, to put it bluntly. I wish I could give you something more conclusive, but I can't tell you much.
Lef stood awkwardly.
Thanks anyway. Was there something else?
Oh, I need to see your license to pilot, carry livestock, and operate weaponry.
Hold on a second. I'll go get them.
Lena was doing her best to keep order, but was having trouble as people would get mad at the security personnel for searching their possessions. As soon as she mitigated one argument, another started up. Just as she sat down to take a break, there was a scream from the other side of the room, and she recognized it as Taliko. She ran as fast as she could and arrived at a ghastly scene. Yar was leaning heavily on Taliko, a security officer standing nearby with a taser rod. Lena walked up to the officer.
What happened here?
The woman put her taser away and held up a small box.
I was searching his things and I found this. He fought me when I asked him what it was, and I was forced to stun him.
She opened the box, revealing small vials of liquid. The officer grinned.
This looks to me like carpenter's acid.
Carpenter's acid was a traditional spirit strictly controlled by law due to its extremely high ethanol content. The officer closed the box and gestured to two others.
Take him to a holding cell. Trafficking through Solar Federation space is a serious offense.
Taliko was pushed aside as Yar was dragged off. She shouted at the officer.
It's part of his religion! You can't do this!
We'll see.
She walked off with the box and Yar. Lena sat down and put her head in her paws.
Who knows how many more people aboard are followers? This needs to end soon before someone gets themselves in real trouble.
Taliko sat next to her.
It's all a political move, probably.
Lef returned to more chaos than when he left. Red was waiting for him at the door, and Lef handed him a pile of papers.
There, you'll find everything is in order.
Red looked over each document with care, then handed them back.
Yep, looks like it. You should know one of the colonists was just arrested.
What? What for?
We found a controlled substance in his possession.
Lef looked at Red seriously.
The Atrian government won't stand for their citizens being bullied like this. While I was in my cabin, I checked the mail, and an emergency news broadcast said that they might have sent warships to free all the falsely detained Atrians.
Red nodded.
Yes, and we've sent battleships to protect the places where your people are being held.
His pocket beeped, and he pulled out a device. He looked at it for a moment, then muttered.
Speak of the devil, and he will appear.
What? What does that mean?
Red put his device away.
2 Sanyo-class battlecruisers just dropped out of hyperspace, and are demanding safe release of all Atrian vessels.
Captain Prax sat on the bridge of the Atrian battlecruiser Endless Ocean as it orbited the gas giant, only a few hundred kilometers away from the space station. His communication officer was in a heated argument with the station commander, Cyrus. Soon the comm officer sighed and shut off the comm link.
Sir, he's not letting up.
Prax stood. He was tall and muscular, the perfect image of a ship captain. He was a hyena with the characteristic light brown spots. He turned to the tactical officer.
Rex, bring the pulse cannons online and load the antimatter torpedoes. Fire a warning shot and don't hit any docked ships.
Lef felt the warning shot as it streaked by the station and hit an asteroid, spraying debris onto the Frontier's hull. He ran to the cockpit where Zack was waiting impatiently.
Lef, what was that?
That was the Atrian government making a huge mistake.
Lef found the Atrian battlecruisers on sensors and hailed the one that had fired. Prax's face appeared on the screen. Lef shouted at him angrily.
What the hell do you think you're doing? We aren't in any danger. Don't use this as an excuse to start a war.
Prax's stoic expression did not change.
Sir, you don't understand. Your freedoms have been violated without cause. We can't stand by in good conscience.
Lef slammed his paw on the chair arm.
Our freedoms be damned if it means another war.
I have my orders.
He cut the transmission abruptly. Lef attempted to calm himself by taking deep breaths.
Lef, what's happening? And what's all this about another war?
Those are Atrian ships firing on a human station. Connect the dots.
Cyrus sat in the station command center, sweating nervously.
How long till our boys get here?
He asked his comm officer for the 30th time.
5 minutes less than the last time you asked, so about 45 minutes.
Cyrus ran his hand through his thinning hair. It wouldn't be long until the Atrian ships would start blasting chunks out of the station. Then would come the inevitable boarding parties. It was a debacle to rival the original incident that sparked the war. As far as he could tell, which was pretty far, the station was the first any Atrian ships had reached, so his decision would determine the outcome of this whole thing. He could call Prax's bluff and not surrender, or he could surrender and let all the Atrians leave, disobeying a direct order. He took a coin from his pocket, prayed to God, and flipped it. It landed tails up. He turned to his comm officer.
El Prax again. Tell him.
Lef watched Prax's ship from a window in the living space as the colonists cleaned up what the security personnel had spread across the floor. They had moved on to the cargo hold that contained the heavy equipment and vehicles. Nothing was happening with Prax's ship. Lef jumped as someone tapped him on the shoulder. It was Sir Leah.
What? Where did you come from?
Sir Leah grinned.
Cyrus came to his senses. We're all free to go.
Lef slowly sank to the floor.
Thank the Lord. I don't think you appreciate how close we all came to oblivion.
I do.
Prax smiled in self-satisfaction. Rex powered down the weapons and monitored the station. Slowly, ships began disengaging and flying towards the endless ocean.
Sir?
Prax looked up. His comm officer was reading a message on screen.
We're being ordered to stand down. There is to be no fighting. The Solar Federation was satisfied that the assassination was a rogue agent and not a part of a terrorist faction. They've released all detained ships.
Prax looked at the screen and all the Atrian ships flying towards them.
They could have gotten the message to us sooner.
Lef piloted out of the rings and out into open space. Zack sipped his coffee.
So is that it for human stations? I wouldn't mind if we never went to one again. We were nearly at ground zero for Armageddon.
Celia was studying star charts.
I wouldn't get my hopes up. We're flying a pretty direct route through human space. It'll be a long time till we're back in Atrian territory.
Lef let go of the wheel and coasted out of the system.
Let's just hope the next station doesn't have a military garrison and any more Cyruses.
He got up and walked for the door.
I gotta go check to see if any stuff was stolen. Ain't no rest for the wicked.
He winked at Zack, and Zack winked back. He left Zack and Celia alone.
So, Zack, do you think people trust you?
What? Well, yeah, they have to. I'm the engineer.
But after this, who knows what silly ideas people might get in their heads?
Zack thought about that.
You have a good point. Sometimes I forget I'm human. I've lived with Atrians so long.
Lena walked into the cockpit, a little too casually.
Hi! Anyone seen Lef?
Zack crushed his paper cup and tossed it at a trash bin. It missed.
He's gone to do inventory. Why?
Lena left hastily.
No reason!
Lef rummaged through a poorly repacked crate.
Learn to put stuff back right when it's been taken out as a part of a power move by the government. You'd think these people had never packed a crate in their life.
He rearranged the crate as he muttered to himself. He looked at the contents of the crate. 1/3 was missing. He kicked the crate.
God damn it, who would steal self-sealing stem bolts?
Lena approached quietly. Lef closed the crate and turned around to open another, but he bumped into Lena instead.
Oof! Hey! Oh, it's you. What is it, Peach? I'm busy.
Lena looked at the floor.
I have to tell you something.
Lef grabbed another crate and threw it open.
Yes, what?
Well, I enjoy our time together, and...
He ducked his head inside the crate. It was totally empty.
Son of a bitch! Sorry. Yes? Go on.
I lost something.
Lena cringed at herself. Lef closed the box with as much contempt as you can show while closing a box.
We've lost a lot of things, it seems. I'm sorry, but it was probably stolen.
Yeah.
Lef patted her on the shoulder as he walked past to the other side of the cargo bay.
Cheer up, Peach. I'm sure we can get you another.
Yeah.
Lef opened another crate as Lena slowly walked to the door. She looked back at him as he rummaged some more. She opened her mouth, closed it, and left. Lef closed the crate and moved it aside. Behind it was a pile of loose stuff that someone had missed. He rolled his eyes. Lena walked back to the cockpit and sat in her chair Lef had brought in from the living space. She drew a heavy sigh. Celia couldn't help but notice.
Why so glum?
The chair was the kind that rotated, and Lena spun it back and forth absent-mindedly.
How well do you know Lef?
Me? I'm his best friend. We've pretty much known each other since birth. I think I know more about him than his parents do. Why do you ask?
Lena stopped spinning and quickly changed the subject.
He started calling me Peach as a nickname, you know?
Celia looked up abruptly.
What? Really?
Yeah, it's just a silly name.
Celia laughed and leaned back in her chair. Lena was very confused.
What? What does that have to do with anything?
You'll find out. Don't worry.
Zack whistled as he walked back to the engine room. Once there, he noticed half-assembled components lying on the desk. He slapped his forehead.
Shit. Feldo, where are you?
Feldo was nowhere to be seen. Zack scoured the room, checking compartments and under tables. He then spotted the drive hatch. It wasn't closed, last he remembered. He quickly opened it and grabbed a flashlight. He crawled inside and shone his light around the room. There lay Feldo on the floor of the drive chamber, fast asleep.